Coming in hot. That's what we're doing, dude. Welcome to Blackoutpod with Pete Suval. Binges, Blackouts, Tales from Rock Bottom. I am here with, I would call us friends, right?
We're friends. We have each other's phone numbers now.
We do, and I've been in your house. I've pet your cat. That's a euphemism, a double entendre, and a fact.
Yeah.
So I've pet.
That's a triple entendre.
Yeah, triple entendre. I have pet Jay Light's cat.
Edgar.
And
poor boy.
He
takes Prozac.
Really?
He takes Prozac and steroids.
He takes Prozac.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's a cat. He's got cat OCD.
Jesus Christ! What does he do? Like organize his little?
Yeah.
Kibbles?
Anytime he sees his food, he just has to make sure he has to move all of the fish to one side and then all the vegetables to the other side. No, he overgrooms himself. He's great.
Wow. Well, let me introduce you first. I'm gonna give you a nice little introduction. Tell me the show that you was it Iron Chef?
Master Chef.
Okay.
Just finished. Just wrapped.
Written. Oh shit.
Just check it all out on Hulu.
Right on
if you
Master
like
Chef,
shows.
making money. If you want some money, you can just DM Jay Light. He'll give you a loan.
Mm-hmm.
He loaned me some money before this. He loves it when fans DM him and they say, "Hey Jay, I'm going through a hard time. I need some money."
I am a loan shark, though.
Yeah, and
as
so
Pete will tell you, I have broken both of his kneecaps.
he has, and then he kissed me on the mouth and said, "Don't do this again ever." And I was like, "Okay, Jay, I love you," and then he walked away.
Sorry, Daddy.
Sorry, Dad. And then Edgar came and peed on my face. It was a weird kind of sexual experience. But also he writes for Roast Battle, has his own podcast that I've done called Blockbusting with Jay Light. And that's his fucking name, dude. Jay Light.
It's me, Jay Light.
Jay Light. We've done this episode before. Unfortunately, it was lost on a computer. It went for almost 3 hours.
It was a long episode.
It was.
We can't do that today because I'm only in 2 hour part.
We only have an hour, so. Yeah. So, yeah, dude. How have you been? You just got back from Edinburgh?
Yeah, I was in Edinburgh in the Fringe Festival. I was there the whole month of August. Came back, recorded my first album, which will be out theoretically end of October, beginning of November. I'll plug that again at the end because I know how podcasting works. And then I came back, so I've been doing stand up and getting my feet wet as far as like writing new material again and being okay with not having new material again and working on some other projects, waiting for that the next writing job, official writing job to come my way.
Word. Do you have anything
to seek one out?
You have anything you got your eye on at the moment?
Writing wise?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a feeling I'll be able to get back to MasterChef again, but that's not till January. So I got time.
Yeah.
I got time to kill. I was just emailing it. I was emailing somebody who I worked with on historical roasts, and it looks like that is probably not coming back. R.I.P. Unfortunately.
Oh no.
So now I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna figure out something else to do.
Did you have a favorite? Because you ran your hour for how many nights?
I did. So the festival itself runs 20. I did 25 actual days of the festival. My show did 20. I had to cancel 5 nights just because nobody showed up.
You did 20 hours of.
Yes.
Holy
20 hours
shit.
and 58 sets total.
Did you have a favorite set?
Oh man, that's tough. The best. So I had a really great one of actually running the hour where it felt like it was the order that it was going to be in, and I was like, finally, this is it. This is the way it needs to be. And that took about 10 runs of it to get that way, where I was finally, oh yeah, okay, this is where it's going to be. And then my second favorite one was probably the wildest night I had, where I had 3 separate groups of people heckling me.
Oh shit!
The whole show, because heckling is a cultural thing in the UK stand-up world. It just happens, and so when you're over there, it's not in the US where people are like, let's shut down hecklers. It's just like you work with it and you deal with it. And so I had let's see, a German guy who was wild drunk, and he was just shouting things out.
Sketchy.
I had a Irish couple from Belfast. And the guy in the couple was definitely drunker than the girl, but they were both a little saucy.
Those Northern Irish, too.
Yeah.
Fuck you up, dude.
Yeah. And then there was a real drunk American dad from South Dakota who was there with his son, and they were out drinking, and then they saw my show. They were like, American, let's go check this guy out.
Hell yeah.
And then they did. And it was crazy. And it was like, fielding all of these lobs from these guys, and I was kind of like it was kind of like conducting an orchestra a little bit, where I was like, I got to figure out the right time to play with these guys, and then play with these guys, and then also figure out like, okay, I have to shut all of you up so I can actually do my jokes for a sec.
Yeah.
Even though this is a great time.
Were you getting laughs?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
yeah.
that was one of, like I said, this was one of my best shows.
So
This is
fun.
probably, like top 2 or 3.
So it wasn't fun just because it was like super challenging. It was actually
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you recorded your album here.
Yes.
Tell me,
At the
remind
Pack Theater.
The Pack Theater. Yeah, I went down there and it was packed. And I couldn't get in.
It was sold out. We had to turn people away.
It's fucking awesome.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I was very sad that I didn't get to show my face, but I was also very happy that it sold out.
Yeah,
So-
so was I. And I came up with my album title this week,
What
which
is
I
it?
feel great about. It's going to be called Good Guy with a Gun.
Whoa, do you have a gun?
Not in LA, but I do.
Okay.
I am a gun owner. And
Yeah.
there's a big bit on the album about guns and gun control.
Yeah.
And I was trying to come up with titles, and then I was like, wait a minute. This is a funny title, and it's the thing that people say. It's like, oh, the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But then you look at a good, and then it's like, oh, this is a good guy with a gun. Do you want this?
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody does.
That's fucking amazing. You kind of look like Buddy Holly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But if I would love to be able to afford to die in a private plane crash.
Dude, for real. But he was like 19.
Buddy Holly?
17?
No way.
He was young as fuck, dude.
Buddy Holly, 19-year-old. I
Let me-
can't buy that.
Listen, I'm Googling 21
Activate
maybe.
the internet.
Buddy Holly.
Dude, you could throw to me.
Nolan, do you know?
Yeah, I can be Jamie on this. You guys
I was
can
just
keep
about to say,
talking.
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah, dude. Buddy
Let's
Holly.
see.
All right, we'll all Google it.
Who's gonna? 22. He was young. Oh, he
Yeah.
was from Lubbock. Ah,
Little.
fuck. Lubbock's gross.
Oh, dude, yeah. You were both Texans?
Yeah,
Wow.
but Lubbock is like Texas.
Oh, okay.
Lubbock is the sticks. It's where Texas Tech is.
Is Whataburger really that good? I know that's a dumb fucking question.
Yes, it is.
Really?
Whataburger is amazing.
I thought you meant yes, it is. That is a dumb fucking.
It is.
Yes,
it is
you
also a dumb
stupid
question.
Piece of shit.
Whataburger is delicious.
'Cause I
Look
love-
at that. 22 years of age.
God, that's sad.
He's got real curly hair. Look at that poor Buddy Holly
For
on that
real.
that fourth picture over.
I think Richie Valens was like
Men aged
25 too.
Men aged harsher back
They
then.
sure did.
Yeah, they did.
And then
Well, everybody's living a wilder life. Oh, that's yikes. Oh, poor guy.
yeah.
Imagine all whatever 50s drugs he was doing at that time.
Jesus, he does look rough, man.
Aged.
He looks like he's already like flown a plane in World War II.
Mm-hmm. He looks like David Byrne a little bit.
Yeah, little Woody Allen too.
Yeah.
Just like a sad he looks like a young grandfather.
Yeah,
You know what
he
I
does.
mean? Like he just had his grandkids
Yeah.
or kid.
And they're trying, and this is a conversation he has with the parents. Where they're like, "All right, what's your grandpa name going to be?" Let's go with Buddy.
Bud. Yeah. That kind of sounds like mud butt, which, you know what I mean? You might have drinking your black coffee. Let's should we recount the stories that we went through last time? I'm trying to remember, or if you came up with some new ones.
Oh man, I mean,
You remember the concept for the podcast, right?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you said it all in the intro. Blackouts, stories, all sorts of stuff.
Dude, you'd be surprised. Some people, Audrey got in here and she's like, "Why do you keep asking me about drinking?" And I'm like,
Audrey Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, you're online. You should know what
Wild
you're doing,
broad.
Audrey.
Yeah, that wild broad.
So, I mean, I have a lot of fuck. Let's go with a time period.
Yes.
Because there's stages of my drinking. Because I'm sober now. For podcast listeners, I've been sober 4 years. So I had my share of times. I had my share of wild times. But there's like the fun times.
Yeah.
And then there's the times when I felt dangerous and embarrassed of myself.
I think a good mix is usually how it goes.
Okay.
Like one fun one or debatably fun one where you look back and you're like, that's cool that happened, but also I could have died.
Yeah.
And then one where you're like, oh, I should have died.
I got my share of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, one that makes you miss all of it, and one that makes you remember why you stopped.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh,
a good
man.
balance.
Okay.
Because I remember exactly why I stopped. I remember that night.
I remember I used to like drinking. I felt like I was hot shit, man.
Yeah.
I remember because I was doing a lot of. I'd never drank until college, and then I joined a frat, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the fucking best. Let's rock and roll."
Where'd you go to college?
Elon University,
Okay.
North Carolina. Good old Phoenix.
The
Phoenix fight never dies.
fucking- The rainforest with rednecks. That's
Rainforest.
that's
Rainforest. We had a rainforest cafe
Really?
in Durham Mills.
Dude, Durham feels like the rainforest, like that with that fucking weather, and it's beautiful.
It is.
But then like it's just suddenly like, oh, they're normal weird rednecks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was Elon, the town that I was actually in, was right next to this city called Burlington, which they were both relatively small. But Elon itself was a dry town.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to go out to like buy alcohol, you had to go to Burlington, because even when I was still in school, all of the restaurants and bars that were in the town of Elon were not allowed to sell liquor. It was just
so
beer and
crazy.
wine.
Yeah.
And they didn't start selling like hard alcohol until my senior year. So you could go to the ABC store and buy your bottles of shit there. You could go if you had a fake ID, which I never got. I never got a fake ID. I never needed one. I was always
Stole my
just
brother's
drunk on
ID.
my own. They had a bar called Brew Balls that you could go get wasted at. And I went there once, and I was like, oh, yeah, I see why everybody has to come here once. It's just a towny bar.
Yeah.
And then there was all of the bars on campus, which were like surprisingly dangerous. They
Yeah.
were, because they were just there was no reason for anybody to go to them, because you could only sell beer there. But then that meant once they started selling hard alcohol, everybody started going. So they would do these crazy promotions. Like I used to run a show at this bar that no longer exists at Elon. It was called West End Station. And
I forgot you did comedy in college.
Oh yeah, I did. Really started going after it when I was 20, my
That's
junior
crazy.
year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my senior year, I ran the show at West End, and I was doing a monthly show, and they paid me in beer, which was great.
Whew.
And it was all the beer I could drink, which is fucking
Yeah, there you
fantastic.
go.
And they were doing dollar Jello shots, and it was great. But they had on, I think it was Monday nights, they had penny beer night. And you paid a $10 cover to get in, and then it was pennies for beers. But they also just had a shitload of pennies on the bar already, so you just shove a penny forward and you get a beer.
That's that Mulaney bit.
Mm-hmm.
Nickel shot night.
Nickel shot night.
Dude, when I lived in Argentina, there was a bar that did peso shot night. So it was
Jesus.
peso tequila shots. And a peso is like a fraction of a penny. Like the Argentine peso is dog shit. Like it's like, I think it's like, when I was there, it was like 12 cents
Yeah.
to a peso or something. And so it was like, I walked in and I thought it was a joke. So I handed the guy 20 pesos and he's like, what? Just give me one. And I was like, for real? And it's horrible liquor. Like, make no mistake, this shit, I swear to God, I bought a bottle of tequila there, put it in the freezer, and it froze. Like, it's not good.
Yikes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like you ever had Crown Roos vodka?
No.
It's like that.
Oh my
Crown,
God.
because you always put the shitty liquor in the fridge, or
Yeah.
the freezer
Yeah.
to chill it, so you can actually drink it.
Oh,
But Crown
God.
Roos will freeze.
I've had Mad Dog 2020, and that was plenty for me.
Oh, Mad Dog. Yeah, I did some Boone's Farm every now and again, but I never got into the Mad Dog.
Yeah, just I
I
did
stuck to the Four
I did it
Locos.
once. Oh yeah, me too.
I loved Four Loco, man. But that's the thing. So frat drinking
Yeah.
is very. We would, by the time I joined, my pledge class was like the first really big. We're gonna fucking party pledge class, and I remember because during pledging it's dry, so we weren't allowed to drink. And except for one night when it was the night we figured out who our big brother was in the frat, and so it was big little night. I got real drunk, and then I blacked out and wandered off, and then I came to, and I had made friends with Marines in the parking lot of another bar called Sandy's, which was notoriously bad. Sandy's got shut down so many times for letting kids drink underage with no IDs,
Oh,
and
fuck.
It wasn't the ABC. I think it actually was the ABC cops who would come and show up and shut the place down. But there was also like shootings, and somebody drove their car into the bar one time.
Holy fuck.
And then it like reopened several times under different names. Like it used to be the most recent time I was in Elon, it was called Tony's Pub and Subs. And then somebody that got shut down because there was a shooting outside of it. It was a fucking crazy town. But I remember I came to outside of Sandy's. I had made friends with these Marines, and we were all drinking a case of like Natty Ice in the parking lot. And they were like, "Where's good to go party around here?" And I was like, and I didn't, because I was too drunk to remember where my own frat houses were, but I remembered where there was one that like I had always gotten kicked out of this frat house because they were just like the most elitist shitty dudes.
Okay.
And I was like, let's go to these guys' house. And we go in, and I remember I was like, now these guys, they're not going to like that it's like 8 dudes rolling deep at 1 a.m. And the lead guy was like, well, we're going to make a phalanx around you. So they covered me up. And we start to go in, and one of the frat bros comes out, and he's like, "Hey, who do you know here?" And then the lead guy laughs, and he's like, "I'm a fucking Marine. I fought for your country." And then he pushed him out of the way.
God.
And then we hung out, and then I blacked out again. I don't remember a whole lot after that, but it was probably a good time.
Christ.
But frat drinking is very different because so by the time once like everybody in our pledge class, and then the next couple, we started to really like turn our reputation around from being the sort of like nerdy.
What frat was it?
Pi Kappa Phi.
Okay.
Which it was a great time being in the frat. I had a lot of fun, and we would do essentially we got our shit together. And we're like, let's make a slush fund.
Slush fund.
So what we would do is everybody would chip in a certain amount of money per semester, and that would fund all of the alcohol at all the parties.
Okay.
So instead of you have to show up and bring like $5 or whatever, everybody chips in. I think it was like 100 per semester, but that covered a keg for every night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Holy fuck.
Enough alcohol to make a bucket of jungle juice Friday and Saturday, and enough cases for beer to play like beer pong with.
Yeah, damn.
So, but that's the thing. So, like, of course, I was in on the slush fund, and not everybody had to be.
Yeah.
But it was like, if you're gonna come drink
like
at
a
the parties,
membership pass.
you should be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just like it makes sense.
Yeah, that's great.
And that way, we also don't have to worry about. We were like, let's do it. We don't have to be shaking down freshmen and people who are trying to join. Let's just fucking provide because we can. And we're like, okay, cool. But that would mean that I would also, like, I'd show up to pre-games and stuff, because we'd go pre-game before we went out to either the bar on Thursday nights or whatever fucking house party.
Yeah.
I would show up to pre-games. This is typically on Thursdays. I'd show up to pre-games where people are like, there's a keg, and maybe there's some hard liquor. There's people are doing shots or whatever. I would show up with a 40. I would always buy 40s of King Cobra. Drink. I remember I looked up what the best tasting 40 was, and I would just drink that constantly. And I would show up with a 40. I would finish the 40 before we would go out, and I would also like do shots.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm fucking unstoppable. And I was just like, this is great. And I remember there were times when I was doing a little bit more of the party planning, and because I was on the Brotherhood committee, so that I got involved in that every once in a while. And we had a what's it called? A Mardi Gras party. And I had been hanging out with friends of mine that summer. I used to be a summer camp counselor. Another great place to go get drunk in the woods.
I used to be a summer camp counselor, too.
So I was a camp counselor. What kind of camp did you counsel at?
JCC.
What is that?
Jewish Community Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was doing a vaguely Christian camp.
Okay.
It wasn't like overt. We did have church 2 days on Sundays.
Oh, shit.
But that was about it. But so they're friends of mine. A lot of people who went to that camp were from New Orleans, and we went out for our counselor vacation one weekend, and we made purple drink, but not the real stuff, not like lean. We weren't drinking like promethazine or anything, but we basically did our own version where it was vodka, grape soda, and Robitussin and Sprite.
Oh shit!
And so
you're robo-tripping.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, let's do that for this Mardi Gras party. So I show up to the house with 2 big bottles of Robitussin. Giant bottles of Robitussin. And I'd been telling people, I'm like, this is going to be a fun time. I've done this before. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And one of the other guys who's like a year above me storms into the house, and he was like, "This is like on another level of like we should not do this, and if you make this bucket, then like this is a terrible idea, and blood is on your hands." And I'm paraphrasing, but it was like dire, and I was like, "All right," and then he left. And I was like, "Guys, we're gonna make this fucking bucket, right?" And they were like, okay, Jay." And they I was like, "Here's what we do. We just tell people we'll have 2 buckets, and we'll say one of these has Robitussin in it. If you want that, go for it. Just so you know what's in it." And the other one was normal. And of course, everybody's like, "I'll take the Robitussin bucket."
Oh my god!
And so then everybody was wild fucked up,
Yeah,
because it was because they're robo tripping. And then at our chapter meeting that Sunday, the president was like, "I heard there was a Robitussin bucket at a party, and whoever made that is in trouble. So you need to come forward, or we're going to suspend the chapter and do an investigation." And so I was like, "Ugh, all right." And so I stepped forward, and he was like, "You did that? You? Just don't do that again."
Oh my
and
God.
I didn't even get sent to standards. I didn't get any sort of like regular real citation. It just was like slap on the wrist. "Jay, you couldn't do that. There's no way."
Do you remember like feeling what it felt like?
The Robitussin?
Yeah.
The RoboTrip? Okay, so the thing with DXM, which is dextromorphan, the chemical that fucks you up.
I was in rehab with kids who were on that shit.
It's a disassociative.
Oh, so it's like ketamine.
Yeah. But you feel drunk, but you feel a little nauseous, and you feel just like you feel your body feels very different.
Huh.
It's really weird. It feels like you're it's just like, it's hard to describe. You're moving in a way that you probably would not ever move. Everything is very just slow and kind of underwater.
Huh. So is that mixed with alcohol?
Yeah.
Because there's already alcohol in Robitussin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
perfect
goddamn.
match.
Dude,
Perfect mix.
Do you remember the Simpsons episode where he made flaming homers?
Never seen The Simpsons.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
I
there
wasn't
was-
allowed to watch The Simpsons as a kid.
Oh,
That's why I'm
yeah.
making Robitussin buckets as an adult.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. There was an episode where Homer mixes all these drinks, and then like the last ingredient was a little bit of cough syrup, and he lights it on fire, and then Moe steals the drink, and he calls it Flaming Moe's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I was
Remember
like, Homer's drinking lean, and then they're just selling lean, and then everybody's fine with it, and that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
You were
I
fucking
was pushing lean on these kids.
Dude,
But
funny.
the other thing was, I feel, in retrospect, I feel like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was definitely not the coolest
Is
move.
that the type of shit you can die from?
It
why
can
was
really
so
fuck
dangerous?
it
you up.
fucks your breathing up.
Yeah.
Is the
Oh,
problem.
okay.
And if you're drinking a lot of it, it slows your breathing down, and also you're going to be more susceptible to alcohol poisoning if you're not able to like move effectively.
Yeah.
So you don't want to like asphyxiate on your vomit or whatever.
Did you guys ever do triple C, like course of sit-in? Did you guys ever?
It's the same deal.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
same shit.
Yeah, I never did it.
So it
Okay.
says-
Except for I never did actually triple C, but I did. But I'm familiar with it.
Is it the same experience? I did that. That's the only. That's
think so.
honestly the hardest thing. I'm not a big drug guy.
Yeah.
I did. You're supposed to take a bunch. I took 8 of those,
Mm.
and that was a fun time.
Like the pills?
Really fun. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Truly, like a great memory. It was blissful.
So
That's nice.
You can overdose on it.
Yep.
And then symptoms of vomiting and all that shit, agitation, dependency. So you get addicted to
Yeah,
it.
you can get
Sure.
addicted to it.
And you withdraw from it.
Oh.
God damn.
Just
Yeah.
not after like one time.
No.
No, just when you get addicted to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those kids in one of them was so out of his mind that he did like a wilderness retreat. You know, did you ever know?
Oh yeah, the outs. What were they called? There's like a name. I had actually one of the buddies of mine who the first time we ever did the robo tripping, he did that with me, and then he went on one of those retreats.
Oh shit.
Fuck, what is it called? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
It's something outdoors
know what you
in
mean.
the name.
Dude,
you know what I'm talking about.
I knew a guy who was a counselor for one of those too, and he woke up in the middle of the night to a kid smashing a rock over his head.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Was he okay?
Yikes.
Yeah, he was fine. He was a big dude, and
Oh.
so he like wrestled the kid down, but he still, I mean, it still fucked him up. I think he still got a concussion from it.
Oh, I bet.
And then you're miles and miles in the mountains.
Jesus.
But this one dude I knew who was in rehab with me, he would always talk about it. He's like, you just chug bottles of whatever, and he's like, it's crazy. You can feel your heartbeat and your blood running through your spine if you put your hand on your spine. And I'm like, that's crazy as shit. And he left rehab, got put into one of those wilderness programs. They were 500 miles out in the wilderness or something. He escaped. Like, so he ran away and then just got spat out into a town like 3 days later. So he just survived on his own, and then he was back in rehab again.
That's
so we were like, what happened? And he would be sitting there. I remember he'd be sitting there during meetings and stuff, and he would... His hand, he would act like it was a phone, and he would talk on his hand because he was so fucking crazy. So he'd just be sitting there, and he'd be like, "Yes, hello," and we're like, this is just happening," or
oh, really? I mean, that's the thing with disassociatives.
Yeah,
really fucks with your head because you disassociate.
Yeah, so it's fucking. After a while, I guess it starts making you think that your hand is a phone.
The night I did it was so fun.
Really?
Just pure, yeah. I remember feeling weightless, bodily weightless.
Sounds about right.
Jumping around, kind of feeling like I was on the moon.
Yeah.
Then there was about a minute to 5 where I did think I was gonna die.
Yeah.
And a tight window though,
It's
small enough to not be that
drugs
bad.
aren't fun if you don't have that moment.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's a good thing.
Oh,
Is if
actually,
you're
I
like,
was, like,
I could
positive.
die right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moments I've had when I've like been tripping really hard and then gone into a bad trip and then come out on the other side, oh, it's the greatest experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
You feel like you really accomplished something.
Right.
Dude, I stayed I saw one of my favorite DJs here. And it was like, I think I was 21. It was right before I left for Argentina. So it was pretty around that time, maybe 20. And we came here, and saw this DJ named Funtcase, and he's fucking badass. He's just a weird motherfucker, and I had never seen him before or heard him. And so we went to House of Blues and saw him, and we bought these pills from some girl in San Diego that were called like Orange Californias because they had like the California stamp on them.
Some ecstasy, something.
Yeah, and it was at the point where I was rolling like every weekend.
Okay.
And so we did them. And I just remember the show was fantastic, but the depression after the show, and like I was just walking down Hollywood Boulevard or up on Sunset, like by all the comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Just by myself back to our motel in Central Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then I just sat in my motel in Central Hollywood coming down from this roll and just was like, I hate everything.
I remember there was one night, the first time it was the first time I ever did an 1/8 of shrooms, but it was in a chocolate. It was a shroom chocolate.
Yeah.
That had an 1/8 worth of psilocybin in it.
Oh, shit.
And because I'd tripped before.
Just one?
Yeah, just one.
How big was it?
Tiny, like the size of a Hershey Kiss, like that big maybe.
When I did an 8, that's a fucking shitload.
It's a lot of shrooms, but
Yeah.
the chocolate, they condensed it.
Okay.
So I popped that because I was like, oh, this is gonna be fine. And it was not. But it's not because it wasn't because of the psilocybin. It was like, all right, so here's what went down that night. I get to this party, and I'm supposed to be DJing at another party later that night. I was DJing like a sorority fundraiser because I used to be a DJ. Fun fact.
Cool.
Oh boy, back in the day. And I pop this chocolate, and I'm telling everybody, I'm like, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm just fucking, I'm gonna trip out. It's gonna be a great time. Come to this party I'm DJing later. And that was the big little night for our fraternity, the class after mine. And there was a kid at that party who, to attempt to impress us, drank an entire 5th of Captain Morgan by himself.
Ooh.
And he got alcohol poisoning.
Oh.
And I started to trip, and I remember I was like peeing, and they had a thing of Angel Soft toilet paper in the bathroom, and the baby on the thing winked at me, and I was like, this is happening. This is great. And I remember then I was leaving, and then all of a sudden there's this kid who's like violently throwing up, and he's turning gray, and we're like, oh shit. And everybody, they're trying to figure out what to do as far as like, because obviously you got to take him to a hospital.
Yeah.
Because it was clear alcohol poisoning, and I was like, this is my cue to go. I should not be involved in this. I will be of no help. And so I left. But that was on my mind. So that was like the last thing I saw before I left. And so I'm like, oh shit.
Do you get extra empathetic when you're
Yeah. And so I was already feeling like I'm like, I hope he's okay. I got to focus on this. It's going to be a better night. And I get there, and the first thing it was at West End, and it was very hot inside because it was full of people, and there was no air conditioning because it was the fall, so they didn't fucking need to put on the air conditioning theoretically.
Yeah.
And heat and psychedelics. I think shrooms in particular make it worse. As far as the way you react to heat,
Probably humid too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was like, oh, that was bad, and I was like, this is not. I'm not handling this well. This is bad. And then to add it, there was this girl who I'd been hooking up with a little bit, who showed up to the party, wasted, like probably blacking out or close to it. And she was like trying to like climb over the table that I had set up with all of my stuff on it to like hang out with me. And I was like, please don't. Not right now. And she was like,
you had your little safety barrier.
Yeah, I was like, this is the thing to keep me away from everybody else. I need this. And she was like, you have a choice. You can choose me or the music. And I was like, no, I don't have time for this right now. And I remember there was a point in time where I was so overwhelmed. I was like, this is never gonna end. I'm gonna die back here. And I crouched down behind the table and just sat there for a sec. And then I was like, I have to at least finish DJing the rest of this party. I can't just tap out now.
Yeah.
And so I came back up and I finished DJing, and it was a fucking nightmare, but I like stayed in it. And then after that, I went outside and I was like, I need to get food. And so I went, the girl by the way, this girl is like turning, like, in my mind, because of the drugs, she was like turning different colors and looking different. And I was like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
This is not adding to the good effects
Yeah.
that I should be feeling. And I remember I was talking to her big sister, who's a good friend of mine now. And we were like, I was like, I'm really hungry. Can we go get food? We went to this place called Cookout, which is, if you're ever in North Carolina.
Yeah, I know Cookout.
Go to Cookout. Cookout's fucking amazing. We went to Cookout. It was like 4 a.m. And I was like, and she was like, what's up with what was up with you and Jen? And I was like, oh, I was like tripping on shrooms. I had a really bad trip. That was a rough time for me. She's like, oh, that makes so much sense. I wish you'd said something. I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I going to tell anybody that I'm having a nightmarishly bad trip right now?
Yeah.
I can't calmly say that.
Because then people will also, like, they'll crowd around you.
It's bad. And that was, but that was after that, like that drive home and dropping Sarah off, and then like eating this Cookout food, and I was just like, oh, I did it.
Yeah,
I
made it through.
I made it through,
dude. Yeah, they are like real weird moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one time in Argentina, it was me and my ex-girlfriend, and we got a hotel. You know who Porter Robinson is?
Yes.
The DJ? Okay,
yes.
So Porter Robinson, a lot of the DJs will come down there as a shithole. I don't know why. But they have a decent nightclub scene, so they'll come down there. And we went to go see him, and we bought Molly, and I'm going to use the word Molly very loosely, because whatever this was that they had in Argentina was not Molly.
Gotcha.
You got to think about like the pipeline that drugs go through to get.
Right. It's
no
stepped
fucking way.
on by whoever the fuck knows
yeah.
what.
If it's even like, so it's synthetic, whatever. And then, so I take just whatever dose, like a little 1/4 gram or whatever, or whatever the fuck. And I remember we walk in, Porter starts his set, the first drop, it hits, the lights hit me, and I go, we need to leave. And she was like, what? And I was like, we need to leave now. And she was like, okay, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not okay. And we went and like sat in this hotel. It was like a really nice hotel. And I just remember laying on the bed and the lights were on, and she's like trying to calm me down. We're listening to music and shit. And she was like rubbing my shoulders, and I'm just looking like, and I could see the light through my eyelids, and I'm just like, I'm dying right now. Like I'm dead. This is heaven. And the lights are shining like the hospital style lights. And then I remember probably like an hour later, I opened my eyes and I'm like, it's going to be okay.
It's all gonna be okay.
And we went and ate waffles, and it was like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it's all
and
good.
just rolled for the rest of the night in a hotel room.
There you go.
Yeah, it's weird when you make it through the other side of those things.
Yeah, the other side is always, you feel too accomplished.
Yeah.
Because you didn't actually do
You
anything.
didn't do shit. Same with
Your
like,
body was
yeah.
going to figure the fuck out anyway.
Yeah.
You
Especially with
had
weed.
nothing to do with it.
Dude, if you trip too hard on weed and then you make it through that, you're like, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I worked at Bonnaroo one summer,
Oh, word.
and I had
Like comedy? Did comedy there?
no, I was working at a food truck.
Oh, okay.
A food stand technically, but they had a couple of
Because you were over there. That makes sense.
I was
You were in
I
the
had
region.
a friend of mine from college. This was my summer after my senior year, right before I moved to LA, and he was like, "Hey, I have this connection. If you want to work at Bonnaroo and make a little money and like do the festival, we can do that, and like you'll break even." And I was like, "Cool." And I broke even between like the gas going out there from Texas to Tennessee and back, and then like all my food and drugs for the entire trip. I evened out basically.
Yeah.
But there was one day I just bought an eighth of shrooms the night before, and I was like, I don't have to work until tonight, because you had to work a shift every day, and I was like, I don't have to work until tonight. I'm going to eat these shrooms right now for breakfast. And I just posted about this on my Instagram.
Oh, shit.
What a fond memory. I was like, I'm going to eat these shrooms in this peanut butter sandwich. I'm going to trip my fucking face off. I'm going to go watch some comedy, maybe watch some other shows. And
They have good comics that go down there. Man.
yeah, like Mark Maron was there that year, and Pete Holmes, and it was
Burris
great.
has done it a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think he was there that year actually too. It was a great lineup, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is going to be a great day, and then I'll be good to go by the time work starts. And I'm walking into the festival, and the person who's in charge of scheduling came up to me, and she's like, Jay, I'm so sorry. I fucked up the schedule. I need you to work right now. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be a team player.
Carol,
and I worked. But I was like tripping my fucking nuts off.
What was your job?
I was a fry cook basically at a samosa
no.
stand.
Oh, no.
And it was the worst because like the samosas were breathing at me, and I was like very uncomfortable. And I remember because it's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I'm like wandering around. I had a friend of mine who basically was like working with me, and I was like, hey man, we were staying in the same tent. He's like, I was like, I need you to help keep an eye on me, please. This is good. This is going to be a disaster. And he helped keep me cool, and I was like, thank you so much. You're the fucking man. But yeah, that was a fucking waste of an eighth. Ugh.
God
such
damn.
a shame.
How long does it take? How long does the trip take?
About 4 to 6 hours, depending on if you've like prepped the shrooms beforehand. I think you can go even sometimes 8 hours, but all the ones I've been on have been in and out in like 6 max.
I was in an outpatient rehab that the guy told me that you could die from shrooms.
No.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, you could die from water though.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like, you can overdose from weed, and I was, you could overdose on water. So.
I remember one of the first classes I ever took in college was a class about drugs, and our teacher, great teacher, fascinating, but also probably the worst things to tell like a young budding addict and alcoholic was like, yeah, you can totally overdose on weed, but you'd have to smoke like way more than your body weight. You'd be passed out from how high you are before you even come close to overdosing.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool, great,
Yeah.
that sounds fantastic. And so, but that's like, it was weird. He set me up with a bunch of weird things. Like he was like, you can die from one line of cocaine. So I never did coke.
I mean, I guess now you can because fentanyl is everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never got in on any of that.
I know plenty of 35 to 40-year-olds who still do coke. And I'm like, I mean, have fun, but I'd be careful.
It's back in comedy. Lots of people doing coke now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did it ever leave?
Yeah, that's what I
think
was
it became
wondering.
less cool.
Yeah.
The 80s, everybody loved cocaine.
Yeah.
I've heard
everywhere.
I've heard stories about it being in the bathroom at the store and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like as of late. And I'm like, well, that's depressing.
Yeah.
But I get it.
One time I worked the door. This was real early on, and a guy came up to me. And this guy had been, he'd been coming up. He was real nice. He was like talking to me and like smoking cigarettes. I was working the back door. And at one point in the night, I think it was probably after 12, and he was like, hey, can I borrow your keys? And I was like, what? And he was like, can I? And he gestured like he was going to do a key bump. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. And he takes my keys, and he goes into the bathroom, and he just presumably does a bump and then comes out and he's like, "Do you want some?" And I was like, "I'm good, but thanks.
Thank you for the generous
It
offer.
was very nice of you."
What was the sketchiest thing you saw working at the Comedy Store?
Oh man,
How long did you work there?
I worked there almost 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, fucking sketchy.
You hear, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts from, and I'm friends, like pretty okay friends with a couple of the door guys, but not enough to like, I don't like to ask about their job because I know a lot of people do.
Right.
But they say that you see the worst parts of comedy there.
You see a lot of really shitty behavior from people.
Yeah.
I don't know about like overtly sketchy and bad that I saw while I was there. I'm trying to think. Like, I know that there are stories of things that like I didn't experience. I mean, obviously somebody getting shot right outside the club is pretty fucking sketchy.
Yeah.
Right.
I was there that night.
Wow.
That's I mean, if we're going like sketchy
Were they in the
behavior,
club?
gang activity happening at a comedy club or right outside it, it's bad.
Yeah.
The person who got shot had been seeing a show earlier that night. The person who did the shooting was not.
Wow.
He literally pulled up. It was a hit and run. He pulled up, got out of his car. He had like a hoodie on. The hoodie was cinched up all the way. Unloaded a full clip into this guy and then got back in the car.
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
I know a dude back home in Utah who got killed because a dude unloaded a full clip on him. And the guy is only serving like 5 years.
Yeah?
He, there was some sort of self-defense. So like when you grow up kind of like I grew up in like, I was straight edge. So like and a lot of those dudes are like, you know, there's a lot of dudes, they like to fight.
Right.
And
because you gotta get your fucking adrenaline pumping somehow, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I think it attracts a lot of outsiders, and then the outsiders have to overcompensate for being a little bit more self-conscious, and so that's what they do. They're tough dudes, and like they grew up a little harder, and they fucking fight, and they're amazing in fighting, and in that they make a lot of enemies with people who don't want to fight. They want to fucking kill you. So this dude had made enemies with this other guy. They were at a show. He came to the show and was threatening this guy's little brother. They walked outside to kind of try to chase him off and like had rocks in their hands. Yeah.
Jesus.
And then the dude pulled out his gun and emptied 6 shots in him.
And man.
Now I think he's getting out of jail 2023 or something. And he's like full. I mean, by the time he gets out, he's going to be full gang member. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it sucks, but it's also like that's why I don't fight anymore. Like that's why.
Did you used to fight?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I used to just be like, I was never good at it, but I had a chip on my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't know who I was. So I was just kind of like, I want to be the tough guy, and now I'm just like, I mean, there's no point.
See, I never wanted to be the tough guy.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be the life of the party. That's what I wanted to do.
I wanted to
be the life of the party and the popular kid.
I wanted to be the funny guy, but like I thought that wasn't me. And so it was like, it was so out of the realm of possibility because I was so like withdrawn and shy and I was fat and like, so when I was a kid, I was the funny guy when I was little. And then throughout high school, I was just so awkward and kind of just like hated myself enough to where I was like, I started idolizing people who other people were afraid of.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the other, you know, because you get respect that way. But then, you know, after a while, it's just, you can't be getting into fights when you're fucking whatever. And it was over stupid shit. Like I would see somebody staring at my girlfriend. I'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then I would lose a fight because I fucking flexed up at somebody.
I did see a lot of fights happen at the Comedy Store.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Good ones?
Lots of good ones.
Oh, shit.
I saw people, the parking lot back, I saw plenty of people throw down in the parking lot. I saw a fight. There was this couple. It was a lesbian couple. It was two chicks. That's how lesbians work. And they had thrown a drink at somebody in the original room. And this was a Sunday night. And this was already a dicey Sunday.
Okay.
At the very beginning
I thought you were
of the
gonna
night.
go a different word.
No. No. At the very beginning of the night, we used to have the security guard. The first security guard ever at the Comedy Store was this dude named Terrence. And he was just, you know, big black guy, intimidating, cool, looked like a linebacker,
Does he
had
still
that
work
kind
there?
of build. No, he hasn't worked there in quite some time.
Okay.
But Terrence, earlier that night, a crazy guy, like a homeless guy or something, you couldn't tell if he was on drugs or homeless or whatever, wandered into the parking lot, and Terrence was kicking him out, and the guy kept calling Terrence the N-word. And Terrence was like, at first he was like dismissing the guy, and then as soon as he said that, Terrence was like, "Oh, you want to fucking go?" And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a weird night," because this happened at 7:00 on a Sunday.
Oh wow!
And so I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be crazy." And
when it's in the air, it's in the air.
right, it's in the air, and you can feel it. You really can at that place. And so at probably about midnight, 12:30, somewhere in that range, this couple gets kicked out of the OR. They'd thrown a drink at another customer sitting behind them, and so they're like, "Yeah, you're out." And the guy working in the OR at that time called the cops because we got potential. We're like, this could be trouble. They're outside talking to management and Terrence, and they were like, "We didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah." And then they were like, "We saw everything. We have, we know what happened. We need you guys to leave." And then one of the girls swung at Terrence. And so then it's like, all right, now we have to use force to get you out. So Terrence like grabs one of the girls from behind, and the manager on duty at the time and the guy working the lot both work to get the other girl. She breaks free and punches this dude who's working the lot in the face, breaks his glasses.
Oh shit!
And he was the kind of person who. He'd worked at the store at the time. He probably worked there, I think, like 10 or 11 years. This guy's great. And somebody you know not to fuck with.
Still working there?
No. He quit a couple years back. And he body slammed her. Short guy, too. Like, I don't think above 5 foot.
Yeah.
Body slams this girl into the ivy wall of the other end of the parking lot.
Wow.
And it took them between the three of them, it took like 20 minutes to get these girls from the back door area all the way to the front of the parking lot. The cops still had not shown up at this point. They start walking down the street. We're like, get the fuck off the property. Cops pull up, and the girls go talk to the cops because they get there first. And they're like, "Hey, I don't know what the fuck they were saying. Probably trying to blame it all on us." And then one of the girls, after talking to the cop, the girl who initially tried to take a swing on Terrence, she runs up to Terrence and then tries to fake him out, and he's just standing there, not moving. And she's like, "What, you little bitch?" And then the cop comes and puts her in handcuffs, and we're all like, "Woo, yeah," because we're free. We're on the patio.
Yeah.
We're watching this. We're filming. This is great. This is great entertainment. And then the cops let that girl go. She talked her way out of it.
Oh my god!
And we were like, "This is fucking dumb. You cops are so dumb." And she walked down the street and then started another fight in front of the Andaz.
Jesus Christ!
And then 4 more cops showed up like 10 minutes later. They're like, "What happened?" We were like, "You missed everything." And then your other boys let them go. So anyway, that was one of the first fights I saw at the Comedy Store. First of many.
Now that woman is Roseanne Barr.
Yeah. Shout out.
Rosie.
No, I never. But that's the thing. I never got involved in any of that stuff. I just like.
Yeah.
I liked watching it
It's
from
for
afar.
the best. I mean, like, I like. Who doesn't like a good? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not involved.
The
I'm always
closest
just
I've ever
like,
been, I held Willie Hunter back on a fight one night. Maybe we should bleep out that. I'd actually probably be proud of this because this was a great moment for him. He was talking shit to somebody on the patio who was walking by, and the guy started popping off on Willie, and he pushes Willie. They're like in each other's faces, and he shoves Willie, and Willie falls down on the sidewalk. And it's clear that the other guy's friends are like holding him back, and me and this other guy are like getting Willie up. We're like, "Don't." We were like, "It's not worth it." And he's like, No, trust me, I got this." And we're like, "All right." So we back up, and Willie runs, jumps, and does a Superman flying leap punch, and punches this dude and lays him out on the sidewalk. And that's why I'll be okay using his full name.
Fair. Okay,
because
good.
it was a great moment.
Yeah, I'm sure he was proud of it.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's one of those. I mean, come on. Yeah, that's fun. And everybody was cheering him on. He
Yeah.
probably got his dick sucked that
Oh,
night.
I hope so. He deserved it.
How long do we have, Nolan?
You got 10 left.
Cool.
Mm.
So you want to give you got a rock bottom?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Rock bottom. Around
You're a
the
wonderful
time.
talker, by the way.
Thank you.
If anybody has the chance to go see Jay Light live, hey, guess what? He's going to be on my show this month.
Yeah.
October 18th. It's at 8 p.m. at Skiptown Playhouse.
Is it on the 18th?
Yeah.
I think I have the date wrong in my calendar.
No, I had to change the date. I messaged you about it.
I know.
you
I
said
think
it
I
was
have
okay.
I think I have the original date in
So
my
Jay
calendar.
Light may not be there.
No, I'll be there. I'll be there.
It's
I'm moving it right now.
Skiptown Playhouse. Malcolm Hatchett is headlining. Got a bunch of other good comics.
I don't know how the fuck I had that in the wrong day. Nah, you're good now.
Okay, good.
We're all set.
All right, perfect.
I had at the very end of my drinking, I was doing stuff that felt I was feeling more embarrassed about the stuff I was doing because I was a blackout drinker classically, and I would always love hearing about the stuff I did the next day. And then there came a point where I was like, oh, this isn't fun anymore hearing about the stuff I did the next day.
Yeah.
And there,
Do you think that's because it gets worse or because you get bored? It's not a novelty anymore.
it's
You know
because
what I mean?
I was putting myself in situations that were unfamiliar
That's
to me.
what happened with me too.
Yeah. I would like
So it gets worse. The stories you're hearing
Dude,
are worse.
one of the last times I drank, I woke up in my hotel room in Seattle. This was right after I got bailed out of jail. And my dad said that he tried to get a hold of me, couldn't find me, went walking through downtown Seattle, found me drinking with homeless people in an alley, and was like, you were lucky because you were completely immobilized. Like somebody could have taken advantage of you any way they wanted to, beat the shit out of you, like stolen all your stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that could have. I passed out drunk on the subway in New York one time, and I came to the next morning, and I had everything in my
Yeah.
pockets miraculously. And I had been riding on the 2 or the 3 the entire night, and the 2 or the 3 goes all the way up through the Bronx, all the way down through Brooklyn.
dude, Mark Norman
All
said
night.
he got robbed on the train 3 times that same way.
Yeah.
And some dude, he woke up in the middle of it once, and the dude knocked him out.
I mean, I was amazed that nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So for me, it wasn't necessarily hearing about stuff that I had done the next day. It was me blacking out and then coming out of the blackout midway through doing something that I was like, oh fuck.
Right.
So I remember the one of the notable times for me that happened was I'd been drinking all day on the 4th of July, and I blacked out. And the last thing I remember was I was at a bar in New York City with friends of mine, and we were meeting some girls who were they were trying to figure out what building to go to. It was a rooftop bar, and I was like, I'll go down and get the girls. I went down to go get them, and they got let inside, but the bouncer didn't let me back inside because I was shithoused.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, no, I'm with them. I was like, and then that's the last thing I remember. Then, cut to several hours later, I'm sprinting. I come out of a blackout in a full sprint in probably like the financial district, somewhere downtown Manhattan.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, came out running. I was like, oh, what? And I stopped. And then I couldn't figure out where the fuck I was. My phone was dead. I had no Metro card.
Holy fuck.
So I had to like jump the turnstile. I had to. It was bad, and I had to figure out like how the fuck to get back in. And I was like ringing doorbells, and I was like, I had no way of contacting anybody. And then the next day was one of the first times I ever got the shakes, and I was like, oh, this is bad. I was at a wedding. Oh, what rough times. But I was like, I can still handle this. But then there were times after that. I remember this is a very benign moment, and I don't know if I referenced this the last time we recorded. I had the entire summer before I quit drinking. I dated this girl for like 2 years. We started dating in college, and then we did long distance, and then we moved in together. And it was this whole thing that was like, it should have been great. And then I did a lot of things to fuck it up. And she broke up with me very justifiably. But then she kept trying to like keep the relationship going, and I wasn't ready to be a part of it. But then I would also lash out. And that summer had been kind of a weird one where like I had been really trying to push her away, and she'd been trying to sort of reel me back so we could at least be friends. At my cousin's wedding that summer, she was there because she was good friends with my cousin, and we like reconnected at the wedding because I was shithouse drunk. And this is in New Orleans, so I'm drinking like Everclear daiquiris in the middle of the day, and I'm like, seems like a great idea. And I remember that was another weird night for me because like I blacked out and everything was cool, and then I came to and everything was weird, and then I blacked out again, and then I came to and everything was cool. It was a bad night of like we're like making out, and then we're like yelling at each other on a street, and then and then like it was bad, and I felt embarrassed the next day. But then she and I had birthdays that were very close together. I mean, we still do. It's not like she's dead or anything. But our birthdays are very close together.
I remember you telling me about this, yeah.
Yeah. And so she hit me up. She's like, let's have a joint birthday party. And I was like, absolutely not. No. And then I set up a birthday party. And she found out about it because it was a birthday party with a lot of friends of mine from college. And they were like, hey, we went to the same college. I would assume that some of them probably told her. And we were at this thing called Booty LA, which is a great dance party. And I remember I got the girl I was dating at the time. I was like, hey, she'd never done Molly before, and I was like, let's do Molly together this night. And I remember I took my half of the Molly, and I was like, here, take this. And she was like, and then I was like, well, what about this? And then I like put it in her drink, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, fine. And then I drank the rest of it.
Oh, no.
Because she was like, she's like, maybe this is a bad idea. Because my ex was there. And my ex that was the other thing. The big factor is my ex showed up. And she was like hijacking my birthday party. And then I remember I got so drunk, I don't remember the Molly ever, like, I never felt the effects of it. I came out of my blackout later on in that night. The party was over. None of my friends were there anymore. I was alone, downtown LA. And then the next day on Instagram, I saw her posting, hey, thanks everybody for coming to my birthday party.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And I remember feeling like, at the time, nothing. But now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it more, I'm like, man, what was I doing? And so it was just stuff that, I felt really embarrassed. And I knew it was getting worse. So I was like, I need to cut it out before it continues to get worse.
Yeah.
The term high bottom is something I hear a lot in like meetings and stuff of this nature. Like what I had was definitely a high bottom, but it could have been worse. And I'm glad that I cut it off before it got worse.
Yeah. Damn, but that's infuriating that a girl would do that too.
Yeah, and that I didn't even feel the drugs. Ugh.
Yeah, that's
what a waste.
Yeah, that's a waste.
I had already been in like that Molly dealer was already weird about selling to me because he was like, "You're not buying enough. Like you need to buy bigger amounts." And I was like, ugh,
"Give me just a Molly.
Can I just buy like 2 pills, please? Can I just buy a couple doses?" And he was like, "You got to buy more, dude." And I was like, "Come on, man."
Dude, I used to buy so much Molly and just hoard it. Like at one point I had a bag like this that was just full of it.
Oh yeah.
And I would just walk around parties and give people key bumps for $20. And so I would just do that, and it was like then I would make $200 at the end of the night, and I would look at my bag and I'd still be like,
nice. I did Molly before a stand-up show once. That was a fun time.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yeah,
I remember this.
Wasn't it like performing under the influence?
Is it still a thing?
I don't know. I haven't seen any ads for it. I haven't seen anybody promote the show. It used to be a great show.
Did you have a good set?
Yeah.
Hell
but
yeah.
I also, because it's Molly, so
Did
I'm
you
like,
go shirtless?
It was really good Molly. I didn't. I swam afterwards, which was great.
Oh, shit.
But I was on Molly, and Molly makes you very emotional and empathetic, and I remember my friends were like the only normal audience members at that show who weren't comics, and I went on late, so all the comics who had performed and even hadn't performed were trashed, and nobody was paying any attention anymore. And my friends, I would do jokes, and sometimes my friends wouldn't laugh at the joke, and I'd be like, you guys, we're supposed to... You're my friends.
They're like, fuck
Come
you,
on.
dude. That's so fucking funny, dude. Oh my God, there's no way I could have done anything back then. I commend you for going through all of that and still remaining a stand-up.
I was functional.
That's
I'll give you that.
Crazy. Yeah, I was just like through that. I just associate both things like drinking, and I was so insecure. And so like I would have never been able to get on stage. So one of my favorite things about going back to Utah and doing that show was like a couple of people who knew me got to see me, and they were like, it was like a totally different person because they were like, oh shit, because I think a lot of them didn't expect me to be funny, and like I did 15 minutes and killed, and so it was such a good feeling. Like my family too, they hadn't seen me do like a big set. It was dope.
It's cool.
Yeah, but there's no way I could have done it even like probably 3 years ago. Well, let's plug your album.
Let's plug it. Like I said, it's going to be called Good Guy with a Gun.
Good Guy with a Gun.
Release date is still not official. Don't go looking for pre-sales or anything, but end of October, early November, somewhere in there. Still working out the details, still working out release times and strategies. But if you want to find out when all that's going to be, a good way to do that is to follow me on the social media at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram.
Diet J, get it? Because J Light. Fucking.
It used to be my opener for years. I'm J Light. I got half the calories in fat of regular J, but all the flavor. Ladies?
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be on the road a little bit in November and tour dates and shows and stuff. Always. They're going to be at jlightcomedy.com.
Go follow this man. Go listen to his or watch his. Do you do YouTube clips?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just started YouTube, Instagram, all clips of my stand-up. I like posting clips and crowd work stuff, and then I got my podcast, Blockbusting. I post clips from that.
It's a great podcast.
It's a fun time.
Send him your dick pics and
ask me for money
and Venmo requests.
Yep.
I am going to be. I know there's a bunch of people who listen in LA. I don't know if you're all comics, but I appreciate it regardless. I'm going to be at the Flappers main room tomorrow this probably won't come out by then. On Monday, I will be on Mike Falzone's Valley Pop-Ins at 12446 Moore Park Street in Studio City.
Is that the Oyster House?
I don't know. I guess
somewhere.
Yeah. He just put me on it. He's a great dude.
Mike's the man.
Yeah.
Mike's such a great guy.
And then I'll be at the Bang Bang Room at 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 8th. Also, go see my friend Malik B. He is doing his first Joe Rogan and Friends at 8 at the Comedy Store on Tuesday.
He's on Joe Rogan and Friends?
He's on Joe Rogan and
Fuck
Friends. He's
yeah.
fucking killing
Good
the
for
game,
Malik.
dude. Malik B, shout out. Much love. Big leader, you fucking beautiful son of a bitch.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
and
wonderful.
Chappelle Lacey is also in Minnesota doing his first headlining weekend, killing the game.
Nice.
And Jay Light is releasing his hour. It's good. A lot of good people achieving good things in comedy.
I'm really excited about this hour. I think you guys are going to dig it.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to it.
If you want to hear some more fun fuck-up stories, I got those for days on the album.
Oh, you got to do an audiobook soon, too. Start writing your book. You'd be a great fucking narrator.
Audiobook
for a book.
narrator?
Yeah.
That's a racket. I got to get into that.
Yeah, for sure. Doug Stanhope was great. It reminds me of that. Like, you'd be like you'd have some crazy ratchet shit. Anything else?
No, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Did you have fun?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Nolan, thank you. Thank you. Third Wheel Presents.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, babies.
Thanks,
Everybody,
Nolan.
keep blacking out. Email me and let's kiss.